Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wednesday Webcam Weekly, and we are jumping into round two. This time, like we said, a couple of Jasconians out here playing it out in the tournament. You know what? How about we give them a taste of their own medicine and give them a quick look-see? Let's commentate over the games here. We have Head of Hustle out here versus Fidu, Eraserhead versus Shigaraki here, and we did get an early start here, so we have a build 3 versus a build 4, and Fidu out here getting that early aggression on against Eraserhead. So, you know, Eraserhead being exceptionally good at being able to utilize his erase to get a lot of blocks in and a lot lower the speed. Shigaraki actually, though, going to be really good at denying Eraserhead resources that are going to allow him to be able to get that defensive poke slave style that, you know, does so well.
Very much so, and a lot of Shigaraki's attacks are going to be able to kind of break through, whereas most characters are only going to get 1 to 2 hits on an Eraserhead during a turn at best. That hit, as soon as Shigaraki commits in there and goes in and gets hard, that's an extra 5 damage going on top, and it's just, you're going to see that 19 health dwindle away super fast.
Yep, between the Turn to Dust, which, you know, in its own right has stun and makes it tough, Touch of Decay, there's a good slew of abilities here that are going to make it tough for yeah, there you go, you see, like, just gotta make it really tough for him to do what he wants. Taken down from 3 to 1, and that's just, you know, the more you can kind of poke and do this kind of thing is going to be incredibly hard for Eraserhead to be able to do what he wants to do.
Yep, and it looks like that there was also Evil Gaze used as well, so if he decides he wants to block this, that 1 foundation goes to 0 foundations.
Which is tough, because then you kind of have free reign to do whatever you want, because you know, you definitely don't want to be in a position to just take free reign hits from Shigaraki if you're the defending player, because everything that touches you disintegrates you in some way, shape, or form, which makes it really tough. Decaying Grip here, being able to apply additional damage, which is going to be great.
And if we learned anything from the last time I was commentating, I don't know my Shigaraki cards very well, so I've got UVS Ultra up right next to me. They all look the same. It's all a man with a hand and just.
They're all just hand into the card frame, and it's just like, okay, what angle is Shigaraki going to get?
Yep.
You know what? Maybe we just go by that. You know, oh, that's 90-degree Shigaraki. Ah, okay, 45-degree Shigaraki here, leading up by 75-degree angle Shigaraki.
But Decaying Grip's going to be one of those meta cards too, because it's going to force that the attack's going to have a very slow block modifier it has to deal with. So. Looking like it's coming down though, and was able to get the block fully blocked in. So we're
just building.
Health-wise, Eraserhead made out of the turn relatively fine. Foundation-wise, that's
well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's the fact that it attacks you on 2 angles. You know, I will happily trade an attack to just blow up my opponent's board, right? And that's effectively Shigaraki. Did I get damage in? No, but still, I actually forced you to lose your resources. And now you're going to have to spend another turn building more resources. And that actually is the right thing to do. As a Eraserhead in this position, I think you have to spend a good number of turns getting to a healthy foundation point where, like, if you're sitting at, you know, 6, 7 foundations, maybe now you feel comfortable to be able to start pressing a little aggro, because you know Shigaraki does this thing and you lose 2 or 3 foundations. At least it's not end of the game, right? If you end up just losing them all over again.
Yeah, it's much painful when you're losing 33% or 25% of your foundations compared to, you know, 10.
Exactly.
I am keeping track of how many foundations get destroyed down on my side here at the end of the match. I'll let everybody know, just because it's the Fidu special of knowing how many foundations he gets to destroy. It's his favorite way to play this deck. But yeah, it's coming in with a little bit of damage there. Another Grasping Tape Toss like we saw last game. Just solidly good damage, solidly good poke. It's gonna get pushed through. You're gonna take a bit of damage here. You're gonna get something stunned for the rest of the turn. Solidly good poke.
Yep, but committing out the character here, so that's very aggressive. That is, you are going into your next turn with very little resources to be able to deal with.
And no races, in theory.
Yeah, because you're not going to be cycling them.
Yeah. Blocking with plus ultra, though.
Plus ultra. You're going to be taking half. You have to build here, right? Like I don't.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason why you play the plus ultra in that scenario. Is because like sure you can play another attack, but what are you gonna do to your board state by doing that?
Okay, so checking on a 3. Checking on a 3. And that's it. So build 3. Got one in, got some momentum. Eraser had committed though, that is super tough.
That's spooky.
I mean, you kind of have to because, like, obviously you can't just pass with having like one foundation.
Yeah.
Very tough position to be in. I don't know if I would have attacked at all. Oh, okay. Kicking it off with the secret rare.
Yep, that's the second one we've seen. The one of them was already checked earlier, so we got at least 2 nitro explosions in that deck.
Mm-hmm. Fire Shiggy, you love to see it.
And that card is eventually just going to remove itself out, give the next attack powerful 2, and more or less just kind of exist in there being just more of a deterrent. Like, the attack itself is a really strong attack, being a 5-speed high for 4 damage, but the effect that the card has is just such a strong deterrent on anything that Eraserhead's going to want to do this turn.
Yep. Looks like we are going to erase Shigaraki, however. So it does give a little bit of freedom here for Paul. Gonna block with an orange.
Now we want to see a block! And yep, you fail it out.
Alright. Taking 5.
Yeah, but not taking 10. So the erase, well worth it for the damage mitigation.
Yeah, for sure. Turn to dust. Stun 2 is gonna hurt a lot here.
Yup. I would say to give the remove it from the card pool to give it powerful 2, but I actually don't think that any of the attacks last time did damage, so there would be no momentum there.
Mm-hmm.
But can still use the first ability to kick it out.
Yep. And this is these punishing choices, right? Everything about Shigaraki is a punishing choice. Like, yeah, you'll have a choice. You can lose more foundations, or you can lose 2. You know, it's just that constant, like, be damned if you do, be damned if you don't. Who went first? I do believe Fidu with Shigaraki ended up going first.
I believe so, yes. Yeah. And there we have, looks like 1 card in hand and 1 foundation left. This might be a bad touch. You might be taking a little extra damage there from Shigaraki.
Very much could be. Alright, we are gonna... are we deciding on not popping the foundation?
No, it got destroyed because of the stun.
True.
Yeah, I don't think in this position you have to sacrifice the foundation. I don't think you can afford the life.
Okay, we'll take the 2. So opting to lose the 2 instead of destroying another foundation. We will Evil Gaze.
Well, that's just speed, and if it's blocked, there goes another foundation again.
Alright, we're kicking out Nitro.
Which makes sense. Again, get rid of the progressive difficulty, even though you're not going to be able to do anything with that for the moment.
Might as well. Yeah, it's just kind of sitting there. There's no reason for it to be there.
Yep.
Paul here finding all the erases here.
And is able to get the block off.
Evil Gaze will proc.
Yep.
Interesting, going for that instead of one of his flipped foundations.
No, because Eraser doesn't really have any way to bring them back. So the foot foundations are just kind of blank. They're not doing anything.
Yeah. That's why I would figure you would kind of get rid of those first. All right, decaying grip once more time. Whew. Going down to 4.
Yeah, there's nothing in hand to block with, so you're just taking it.
All right, we're just gonna build in the pair and presumably pass from here. Yep.
Nope.
So we're gonna put 1 in momentum, put 1 away, and now we're back to Razorhead. But you know that look slowly building up there. We have 2 foundations, so it's not great. It's a tough position to be in, and now you're very much in a tight super, especially since Shigaraki does have those drain abilities where you can kind of just enhance to get, you know, start poking down at your opponent's health. And the less foundations that Paul has, the less he's able to negate those abilities. So could very much lose to enhance here depending on how things line up.
Very much so. And I think that you're kind of safe to build out here, because that's the second turn to dust that we've seen. And I believe one was also checked a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So the chance of there being another like big stun attack coming out, probably low at this point. And it looks to me that's exactly what the plan is here, is just to build out and survive.
Makes sense. Here's your bet. You're a good defensive deck. See if you're able to start cycling those erasers to keep on lowering the speed, and hope that nothing can really hit you.
Going for a risky night watch on the end for the yep. Able to get it though.
Alright, so this is exactly the type of turn that Eraserhead needed here, just a big build turn.
Yep.
Just to mitigate everything that Shigaraki is trying to do.
And going into this one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
What were you saying about not finding the last one?
I mean, all right. I mean, the odds were against it. Never tell me the odds.
All right, so find the final turn to dust currently in the deck.
I believe it to be final.
I believe it is. I believe it is. He's definitely at least played 2, and I think one of them might have been checked. So
yeah. I don't know. All Shigaraki's cards are just hands on hands. So you know.
Yep.
Smart play though, using the stun to get rid of both the face down foundations. You don't want to lose any foundations that have some text on them. So.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And there's the destroy foundation to destroy one of the stuns. You got to. You can't take the damage here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And destroying a second one just to, again, not take the damage.
Yep, absolutely. We're going... taking some... Where'd the tank?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the attack fired, and we're just taking a look and seeing which is going to be the block here.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't take it. No.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, I guess we're just gonna scoop that up.
Yep, and in perspective, game 1, 6 foundations were destroyed. It's a lot of destruction ability right there.
Yep. Yeah. Again, first turn advantage. This is one of those matchups that makes a huge difference because if you can be, especially as a racer, if you just spend your first 2 turns getting a massive build, you mitigate a lot of what Shigaraki is going to be trying to do to you here.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think looking at this deck now that they kind of a game plan idea of what exactly is going on here. I would probably suspect to be turns 1 and 2 are going to be full builds. Maybe one attack in there on turn 2 just to put a little bit of pressure through, but I think it's just going to be build up as much of that foundation as you can.
Agreed.
That said, though, it depends on what the deck gives. You know, if the deck decides it wants to give all orange on turn 2, I guess we're going in. Cowabunga it is. Chet does bring up an interesting point here. It is easier for Racer Hand to get a stronger hand with the mulligan rules being how they are for turn 2, as well as getting the extra card. Definitely favors a Racer Head.
It's easier, but I'd argue 2 mediocre turns of building foundations before Shigaraki can attack is more advantageous to you than having 1 good build turn and then having Shigaraki be able to attack right after it.
And I very much agree with that sentiment.
So it works both ways. Like, yes, obviously a Racer Hand can build stronger on turn 1, but I'd rather have 2 solid build turns right away and be a little bit more RNG leaning on that front because I think it would serve better long term than not.
Very much agree with that, and it seems to me that was the right call anyway. That getting 2 turns off that is going to be the better way to go.
All right, so looking at 3 and see if he's got any zeros in hand. He does, so I'll check on a 3. And that's it. We're going to be bringing it down. So build 4 on turn 1. Pretty solid.
Much better start than last game.
No, Paul. Your character starts committed. I don't think it's going to matter, but...
No.
Increases chances of starting within your race. I mean, you start within your race in hand, though, don't you?
In discard pile. So an attack has to drop down to get it back in hand.
Right. Whereas if you just start within your race instead, you get the cycle of races, which is like good. Don't get me wrong, but like this is a position where I think I'd rather be.
No, I very much agree. I think being on player 1 is the better option here, just so that way you're not on the back foot on the foundation race. Because that's what this is going to come down to, is can a Racer Head stay ahead on foundations through Shigaraki's destruction? Yep.
And here we see, what is this, extend?
I believe it's extend, yep.
Yep, so get your draw, and then presumably I wouldn't go beyond this. I think you do your 1 just to be able to say that you got some poke in. But yeah, like I think you just, to the best of your abilities, just really build and play defensively. Not defensively, but just proactively build.
Yeah. You know your foundations are going to be paper thin this game. Build down what you can. Sit as close as... You might even want to go even into deadlock and just be like, Shigaraki's deadlock enhances are not that bad if it hits. And more than likely, Shigaraki's going to blow something up before the deadlock enhance fires anyway.
Right.
Going to 11 may not be a terrible idea. It's not a great idea. I mean, if you'd rather sit at 10, but it depends on what you have access to.
Of course.
Yeah, because the only deadlock enhanced I'm really thinking of is corrosion lunge, where if the attack's completely blocked, it'll still deal some damage. But don't think there's much of anything else.
No, not really. I think you are better safer just actually like going in on it. But no, looks like we are going to continue attacking here. We're going with tape toss.
And again, it can be 100%. That's what the deck gave, you know.
True. True, but then at that point, I think you just fail the check and have blocks up.
Yeah. You could say on both ways. Honestly, you with that specific scenario, you could do it both ways there.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, committing everything out.
That's the tough call here. So
Yeah.
we'll see if he's got foundations afterwards. But I mean, this will be guaranteed damage no matter what. So there is that.
Yeah.
All right, going down to 21.
Taking it.
All right, you have to have some kind of gray in hand. You know, if you don't have gray in hand, I get it. If you know, if it actually turns out you didn't have gray in hand, fair enough.
Yep.
I still think you hold to block, but nevertheless.
If you pulled only orange. But
No,
okay, there we go.
Okay, so needed the 5 and all right.
Got it. I mean,
build to ooh, build to and pass.
sometimes the deck just gives the check that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna start this again.
Okay, cool. A little bit of a change up here.
Yep, being said, Bakko card coming down instead of some hands. Just doing a little bit of damage just because the momentum is there. A little bit more momentum hate.
Yep, this is okay. Exploding Pride once again.
Yep.
Going down to 9. That's painful.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, but that's it. Looks like Shigaraki's gonna do his thing of poke once and pass.
I mean, you got one attack in. Why risk it? Keep the, if you do another attack in hand, keep it for a block and just build a little bit, and you have the advantage.
Yeah, very much having the advantage here. So we'll see. Reviewing away the erase, which is fine because you will be able to get it back.
Yeah, might as well take a look and see another card. And most cards that you're gonna draw are not gonna be better than erase. So you just pitch the one you don't want, and hey, look, erase is back.
Exactly. And there's an extend.
Yep.
Never not be the first attack they play.
It's so good. Why would it not be?
Of course. All right, go for a pitch and pick up of a race.
Now, with the momentum being there, do you think about not blocking this attack because you have such a decent lead right now? Just on the off chance that Recipro Burst is the next card that gets dropped. I say as a block comes down, but...
Potentially? You're at 21, and like, Paul's in a situation where if he goes too hard, he loses. So like, you could be in a position where you kind of just want to incentivize him to go for it anyways, just to spend more resources on the aggro.
And that was a lot of things getting committed out there for that block.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no Recipro, but a Flying Thruster kick coming down. And looking at the defensive situation, that Flying Thruster kick's probably going to get through.
Alright, making it pretty fast. Got a little drop pickup of a race once more, giving you additional 2 speed.
And at that speed, it's basically unblockable. It's going through.
Effectively, I mean 8 high, while you already have a progressive of 1 on the opposing end, like it's super. And then like if he wants to, he could EX this if you really want to push it through.
Yeah. I do say that knowing that there is at least one plus ultra that we have seen in game 1. So.
All right, so
plus ultra is
9.
Yeah, I was gonna say plus ultra is just the best counter to the high speed decks. Like.
Yep, just set you back down.
Yep. And checking a 5 on a block is much easier than trying to check an 8. You know. Oh, and there we are.
All right, there's the burst. EX3 stun 1. The stun 1's actually gonna be super relevant here.
Yep.
And then response after your rival commits 1 or more foundations. This gains 1 speed. And then you get to discard 1 momentum, which I don't think you're doing here, but you could, to give plus damage equal to the speed. So -3. Or give
I
more
definitely don't think that you're doing that. There's
no. I do think you do the EX, presumably, just to because like since Shigaraki's running momentum hate, you don't want to take damage for nothing. But
yeah. Looks like using lineage to give it the damage on its own, and then using the heroic lineage on the other side to minus the speed down. Now Recipro's kind of slow. You're not wrong about using that momentum just to get the EX to pop the speed back up to make it at least, you know, somewhere where there's a chance on it not being blocked.
Pretty much, yeah. Make sure that it gets through. Get rid of the momentum so you don't just burn life for no reason. If you do happens to be able to see the card he needs here.
Yeah, that's exactly what the plan is going to be. Not going to be super fast, but at least it's a point where you're needing to check. Yep, and just taking the damage and calling it there.
Yep, so now we're 9-7. Build?
Yeah, there's no gas left in the tank. You're not.
Yeah, there we go. Hitting orange here, so not gonna. Let's see, he needed not.
Yep, needed 4.
Okay.
Could have committed Eraserhead there, but that's
yeah. So now, can you? Oh, this is such a tough position.
Can you pull enough erases to slow the speed down?
Do you draw orange, right? Like, all right, did you see 2 orange cards?
Yeah, because at 9 plus 5 with Shigaraki, if any attack touches, it's pretty scary.
All right, so grip to kick us off.
Not being able to get to the combo enhance to fire though, so it can be blocked by anything.
True.
Discarding erase to pick up an erase. The classic Eraserhead special.
Yep. Free -2 speed.
Having to use the erase to block. And able to get the block off. So we're okay there.
Pretty good start, especially since grip being the first thing that was used, maybe indicating that there's not that many more attacks coming. Oh, Nitro though.
Yeah.
It's a great setup card though, but not.
It's fine when you plus ultra it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's a fast attack now.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a scoop. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what happens there.
Yep. All right. So Shigaraki taking it down 2-0 over Eraserhead here. um, just showing like just how oppressive that Shigaraki can be. And I think Shigaraki is one of those characters that time and time again you kind of just describe as a character that forces you to play differently. It plays the game differently. It creates this weird resource game that you don't have to play with like any other deck. So just a matchup that there are some characters that you can learn their matchups on the fly. Like, okay, this character does this. It's very clear what he does. Like let's say All Might 3. All Might 3 is a very powerful deck, but it's very clear what he does. He's going to draw additional cards and he's going to make his attacks really solid. Alternatively, there are the ones that play weird, play differently, force you to play in an odd game. That's Shigaraki space through and through.
Yeah, and Shigaraki is also the king in this game of making you have all of those difficult decisions. Mm-hmm. Everything that gets played down is you have a choice. Pick it. They're both bad.
Yeah. So it's all about and the thing about choices is that oftentimes players will make the choice that give them a better chance of not losing. But I get through this mentality all the time that the right decision isn't so much the one that causes you to not lose, but usually the one that actually causes you to win. So even though while it may seem that you may live longer if you make one certain type of decision, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually the path that gives you a win. Maybe you need to be a little tighter to the line to be able to get yourself into a position where you have the resources, the abilities, the cards to be able to get you a win. And that's where your judgment as a player, and the more and more you play the game, and the more your skill level goes up, that you can kind of make those decisions to see which one's the right one to make.
Very much agreed. Shigaraki is very much a deck and a deck entire archetype, because you can play with his cards and other characters, that you really have to kind of grind your deck out to know what is the better call in each situation.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely very much a bad call.
There is. Sometimes it may seem like not, but having, let's say, an extra foundation, or having the extra 2 life might have been that buffer one way or another that you would have needed to be able to do what you needed to do. So to like you said, 100%, there are positions where one call is better than the other. It's just kind of mitigating which one is better.
Yep.
On the Eraserhead front, though, I mean, Eraserhead will do what Eraserhead does and still put up a very valiant effort on that front. The ability to lower every single attack by 2 speed anytime you want, being able to shut down your opponent's character card. Like here, doing the great effort, because Shigaraki is a scary character. So if you're able to erase Shigaraki and not worry about his, like, one time he hits you, you're just going to get, like, a quarter of your life gone, just because. Definitely helps a ton in terms of doing that longevity, and Eraserhead can do that. There's a lot of characters out there that lean very heavily on what their characters can do, and Eraserhead, we've seen it before, and with Kirishima kind of toned down, very much open to seeing him flood the field once more with his ability to be able to play a very great defensive game.
Very much so. And just for people listening who don't have access to chat later, that was 8 foundations destroyed by Shigaraki between both games. 6 in the first game, 2 in the second, and that was just enough. Just having the 2 extra checks to be able to stop everything, it just pushes on through, and it's very easy to see there. I wouldn't say how dominant that the deck type can be, but how easy it is for it to snowball and just kind of keep going and building its advantage.
Yeah, 100%. So that was game 2. There are players still playing it out, and there's a decent amount of time on the clock, but I don't know if it's to a point where we'll be able to catch gameplay. So how about we get a little chit chat in terms of things that you'd like to see in the last round. We obviously there's been a shakeup in the meta ever since the Banyan Errata update. So what decks do you think are going to see their rise up now that the meta has been opened up to this point?
So I'm going to tell you the answer is Mineta, because that's what my heart tells me.
Sure.
The actual correct answer, however, we've been seeing a big rise with the also thing that a lot of people aren't realizing that came out as well, is Jiro got unerrated a little bit. So you get to keep some of that information to yourself while on webcam, while your opponent is still revealing cards.
Right.
That's letting Jiro really skyrocket back into a very solid position. And she was already in a great position to begin with before everything else there. Shigaraki does great against the decks that really had a hard time dealing with all of the Kirishima style. So Shigaraki's very much going up on the up as well. And then you've seen the two broad ends of the spectrum. You have Tokiyami here as the combo aggro deck that can beat you turn 1 or turn 2, like first turn attacks immediately. And then we also have Nomu on the other side, which is the biggest defensive deck now, because it's able just to mitigate all the damage that's coming out. And I think those four, along with Froppy 1, because it kind of plays in the same vein as Tokiyami does, I think those are your 5 that you need to be looking out for, and those are the 5 you need to start building your deck for.
Mm-hmm.
The other silent horse in the race, and I think if somebody can pull this off, it's definitely going to happen at the provisional, Denki Kaminari. Now that you don't have so much foundations and like you're kind of playing a little bit tighter on your foundations with all of your characters, I think a really strong order Denki is going to come out, and I would even say with a good pilot behind the wheel, an easy top 16. I think that's going to be your dark horse. But yeah, I think that's going to be your top 5, and there's your dark horse pick right there. With Mineta being the best no matter what. You can't tell me otherwise. He's great.
Yeah. I love Denki. I think he provides a solid gameplay. And I agree. I think, we are seeing a rise of kind of like tighter to the ground decks. I mean, a lot of people are claiming Asui for a big comeback. A lot of people are leaning on these aggro decks. Tokiyami is going to be a huge part of the field now, especially since he doesn't end up playing against a field full of Kirishima. So I think those are incredibly powerful. One deck that I will say to add on top of those, Kamui Woods. So we've seen Bromley do really, really well with this deck. And even then, he did it really well and then had it tuned to dealing with Kirishimas by having a Shoto, a Todoroki sideboard package, which effectively was there, existed almost exclusively to shut down coordinated effort. Now that you actually don't need to, one, dedicate deck spot, nor side deck slots to running a, not obscure, but not super tiered side deck character alongside a kit that's meant to shut down one specific card, I think you're allowing yourself a lot of opportunity to be able to flex your deck better against what everyone's doing, especially if we look like we're going into a place where decks like Asui and Tokiyami and those decks that really like long combo strings, all right, cool, I'm going to keep committing and uncommitting my character card, and I'm just going to make it really, really hard for you to be able to do what you want to do. And then I'm going to smack you back with these really big water attacks. So I think that's a character on my radar. I've been saying for a while now, I think he's incredibly solid. And I think this opening now is just going to probably make him see a lot more play.
I do not disagree with you in any capacity on that, but I will say that Kamui is a deck that is requiring a very fine-tuned, polished piloting skill.
True.
And if you're going to run Kamui, you're 100% right. Kamui's got a great chance at pushing through, got a great chance of winning this, but your piloting skill is going to have to be on point. Whereas some of the other decks, that if they act like cars, there's some good race cars out there. They're going to be fine. But this Kamui has to be a well-tuned, well-oiled machine to get everything to go out. And I would also not be surprised seeing Kamui in the top 16 without a problem.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. With that said, we are in the Wednesday Weekly. I guess before we go to break and let everyone kind of get ready for the third round, is there any matchup, Mineta aside, that you would be looking for us to find?
Honestly, I didn't get a chance to see the deck list this time around because I'm not judging this time. So I don't really know too much that's playing in there. I know there's some Ida 2 out there because people want me to cry on stream. I definitely know there's 2 Tokiyami that are in the format as well right now. With Nil being there, I assume that Uraraka's making an appearance. But for the most part, I think a lot of people are still going to be playing the kick package between all the characters that can run kicks and air. And I think that's the 2 matchups that you're going to see happening most often. As far as what I want to see in the last round, you know me well enough. I always want to see the top table. I want to see who comes out of the event as the victor. Even if it's the old Kirishima grinding Kirishima matchup where it's just this for like 20 minutes. It's always best for me to see who's coming out on top of these events and seeing what's not necessarily changing the meta, even though we haven't seen the meta change quite often very recently with the shakeup. But what's defining what the meta is, especially with it going into the provisional coming up this weekend?
Yeah, very fair. I think that's a very great assessment. Gives everyone a great perspective of what they're expecting to see. On that front, I agree. Top tables is definitely what we should be targeting. I will say, Sero, I think, would be an interesting peep because it's just because Sero's in this weird spot where people play him a lot when we're talking about Wednesday weeklies. He went from a no-play character to one of the top 10 played characters over the span of a month and a half while the online weeklies were happening. However, that only represented himself as one or two characters actually being played in the provisional showdown. So it's interesting. And then once again, we are seeing a rise of people playing him once more. So it'll be interesting to see if this time around, people actually land on a build that actually gets them all the way. And maybe if a top table has a Sero, we can understand kind of what it looks like now that he doesn't have to deal with Kirishima.
Definitely. And Sero's another one of those characters whose once per game is really just defining of how a game's going to go. You can use it on offenses to make sure you can see exactly what blocks that they have and start doing some good math. You can go ahead and use it on defense to snipe the last attack in their hand so you can survive another turn. It's just got a lot of utility, and even though it's a once per game ability, that once per game ability is just one of the best in the game.
Yep, absolutely, 100% agree. So we'll see. We'll see what the top tables have in store for us and see if there's any interesting matchups on that front. With that said, guys, don't go too far. Go grab yourself some water. Go stretch those legs. Go ahead and relax, and we'll be right back in about 5 to 10 once round 3 is up of the Wednesday weekly. So we'll catch you guys in a couple of minutes.